Okay, my name is Carey Martell. I am the co-founder of Power Palace Gym here in Newburgh, Oregon. We are an old school 80s, early 90s themed gym. Lots of bodybuilding equipment, powerlifting equipment, sports conditioning stuff. Today I want to talk about a piece of ingenuity, if you will. This is the Nautilus Next Generation Super Pullover machine. Next generation just means that the series of machine that it was, this was produced toward the end of the Arthur Jones controlled Nautilus company that existed during the 1970s into the mid 80s before Arthur Jones sold the company to a group of investors that kind of just ran into the ground. That's a different story though. Here we have what many consider to be one of the pinnacle of the designs of the pullover. Now, the pullover machine was one of the very first exercise machines Arthur Jones designed. The original model was plate-loaded, and it was used by a lot of different, well-renowned bodybuilders, ranging from Sergio Oliva, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Lots of big guys used it. I think Lou Ferrigno also used it. Of course, this was rediscovered, these pullovers. Kind of rediscovered, right, by Dorian Yates, who used it to grow his enormous back using a modified version of Arthur Jones' high-intensity training, or HIT as the acronym, HIT training principles, as taught to him by Mike Mentzer, who had his own Super Duty variation on the HIT training principles. Now, Arthur Jones originally intended the pullover and all of his Nautilus machines, by the way, to be used to perform a single high weight, low volume workout for each major muscle group. And then once you reach failure, you would use negative reps with somebody assisting you by bringing down the machine into its most forward position. In the case of the pullover, bringing the pullover bar all the way down to the bottom. Okay, and they would help you do some negative reps to push you past failure. Mike Mentzer's version of Super Duty training kind of incorporated that as well, but it also involved a lot of forced reps and half reps and things like that. Anyway, Dorian Yates had his own version of it, and I'm not going to get into his version. What I want to talk about is how to just use this in a very basic way that the average person is going to find it useful for training their upper body and especially their lats, which this machine is excellent at doing. Now, before we get into that, let's talk about what a pullover is. A pullover can be performed a lot of different ways. It's most commonly performed on a flat bench, holding a dumbbell sort of over your head as you lie back on it. And it can be an awkward exercise to get into. As you can see, I sort of fell over just trying to lie down to get my shoulders adjusted. So it's not as ideal to use a pullover the more traditional way. You can also do it on an inclined bench as well, with a barbell, but I'm not even going to get into all these variations, right? Let's talk about how to use this machine properly, okay? Next generation machines are very useful because they have this nice little red dot, very convenient. So you just make sure that your shoulder joint is aligned with that red dot, and that's how you know that you're on the proper point, the point of turning, the joint basically for the movement. Now you got this nice little leg here that you step on, and it brings the weight down for you. I should say, brings the bar down for you. So there's a couple different ways that you could use this, right? The most basic way is to do a more traditional pullover, which is more focused on the chest, actually, the chest and the abs. And to do that, you really focus on just bringing it down with your arms. It's really simple to do that, okay? Just like that. But if you want to isolate the lats, which is what this machine is best known for doing, you have to actually kind of use it as like a lat pull down. So you're going to puff up your chest and really pull back with your elbows right in this position, right? And you're going to go all the way down, by the way. You want to go all the way down to the bar, hit your own hips. And if you have difficulties keeping your back flat against, your lower back flat against the base of the seat, there is a seat belt that you can use to do that. You want to maximize the stretch for the entire range of motion and pull down really with the elbows mostly. And as you pull down, flex those lats, just like you would with a lat pull down when trying to isolate your lats. It's a common mistake lots of people make with the lat pull down is they lean too far back, too far forward. They don't activate their lats, and they just pull with their shoulders and their arms, their chest. And that doesn't really work your lats at all. And with this, it's really convenient because you can't lean too far back, right? Puff out your chest, pull back with your elbows and your lats, and you activate it very well. As I said before, you can also force the reps with, you can also kind of activate the lats this way as well. It does use a lot more of the upper body, the chest, for the pullover motion when you do this. But I find, and I've seen a lot of other bodybuilders when they use this too, once you've reached muscle failure, if you pull down with the bar, it can be a little bit easier. Just need to take a little bit of a break here. One thing that you should know is that the lats, for a lot of people, especially if you're just starting out bodybuilding, any weight training really, you're going to find your lats are really underdeveloped. So you're not going to be able to put a lot of weight onto it if you just focus on the lats versus the upper body. It's really easy to cheat, put a bunch of weight on this thing, and just pull down with your arms. That's easy, but that's not going to work your lats. To work your lats, you got to go slow. You got to put a proper amount of weight that your lats can actually handle, and you got to pull down with your elbows, puff out your chest, and stretch those lats, okay? Full body motion, stretching the lats. And as I said before, you can also work the chest. This really will work the upper rib cage very well, actually. You want to get a nice vacuum stomach, this will help you do it. If you want to focus on the box of your rib cage. Just like that. So anyway, hope that you feel a little bit informed. This machine can be a little bit esoteric when you're using it. And it's really not that complicated though. You just have to have a good technique like with any other type of machine that's available. And if you find these things, highly suggest you pick one up if you're serious about bodybuilding. If you're starting yourself a bodybuilding gym, they're kind of hard to find these days. They can sell for a couple $1,000s. I got lucky. I bought mine from a gym that had closed, under $1,000, but lots of people wanted this thing, let me tell you. And I got very fortunate to have acquired it. All right, guys, see you guys in the next video.